Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would show you guys my table that I built. It's a West Elm table, and before we get started I'm gonna clean up this mess. Right now it's my makeshift office space because I'm in the process of redoing a bedroom upstairs that I have been using for my office. I'm going to actually make it someplace that I want to hang out and not just a room that is a makeshift office. So for the time being, my office is in the dining room. Not ideal, but it's where we're at right now. So let me clean this up real quick and then I'll show you guys the table. Here's a look at it without the bench. I did build this bench to match it, so I'll be sharing that in a future tutorial. Here's a look at the underside of the table. And I love the legs, just the chunkiness of them. Such a solid piece. Let's get on to the tutorial. It's actually quite a simple build. Be sure to check out the description below for all of the materials, wood, and tools you'll need for this project. We're gonna start by building our tabletop first. We're gonna cut 9 2x6s to 84 inches each, and then we're gonna drill 2.5-inch pocket holes down the length of each 2x6. And we're going to then attach those boards together using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws. Now, it's a good idea to use clamps to hold your boards together as you're screwing in the pocket hole screws. When finished, the underside of your table will look like this, and you'll notice that there are no pocket holes drilled in the last board. This is because it will not be attached to another board, so there's no reason to drill pocket holes in the last board. For our next step, we're ready to build the legs. We're gonna cut 8 2x4s to 25.5 inches and 8 2x4s to 16 inches. So you'll have a total of 16 2x4s cut. You're gonna drill 1.5-inch pocket holes on each end of the 25.5-inch boards. Attach your 25.5-inch board to your 16-inch board using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws, and it should now look like this. Attach another 25.5-inch board to the other end of the 16-inch board using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws, and now it should look like this. Complete the rectangle by attaching another 16-inch board, making sure everything is square. Repeat with the remaining boards. You'll have 4 rectangles when you're finished. These will be the table's legs. For our next step, we're going to build the supports. These are the boards connecting the legs and providing support for the tabletop. Cut 4 2x4s to 54 inches, then drill 1.5-inch pocket holes in both ends of each board and 3 pocket hole groupings spaced out along one side of each board. Attach supports to legs using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws. Take note when attaching the supports, the pocket holes should look like the A arrows and not the B arrows. This is important because you will be using these pocket holes when attaching the tabletop. So you want to make sure they're facing in the right direction to be able to attach the tabletop. You're now ready to wrap the legs with plywood. You'll want to wrap the outside legs and side legs first. Do this by cutting your plywood to fit and screwing it on the 2x4 legs with 1.5-inch wood screws. Repeat this with each leg. Note, before wrapping the inside of the legs, we're going to first attach the stretcher. For the stretcher, we're going to cut 1 2x4 to 58 inches. We're then going to slide the stretcher between the legs of the table, and a portion of the stretcher will be sticking out on both ends. Make sure this is an even amount. Because you'll be working against gravity here, it helps to prop up the stretcher with a 2x4. Once the stretcher is propped up and in place, you're ready to attach it. Using 2.5-inch wood screws, drill through your plywood. Do this on both sides of the stretcher and at the other end of the stretcher too. Once the stretcher is attached, you're ready to finish wrapping the legs. Now you're ready to attach the tabletop to the legs. Place the tabletop on top of the legs and center. If you want more guidance on how to center the tabletop with the legs, be sure to check out my blog post in the description below. Once the tabletop is centered on the legs, attach the top from underneath. This is where those pocket holes along the sides of your supports come into play. Attach using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws. This slide shows the underneath view of the table. We're getting close, but not finished yet. Next, we need to attach the apron. We're going to cut the apron to fit the length of the table on both sides. We're going to then drill 5 sets of 2.5-inch pocket holes evenly spaced along one side of each apron. Clamp the apron to the underside of the table with pocket holes facing up and towards the inside of the table. Attach to the underside of the table using 2.5-inch pocket hole screws. Once the side apron boards are attached, cut the end apron boards to fit and repeat the apron steps. All said and done, the apron will look like this. And that's it. You're ready to sand and stain or paint your table. For a full sanding tutorial, be sure to check out my blog post in the description below. Building a beautiful dining table isn't as hard as you might think. Just follow these simple plans and you'll have a modern style West Elm table dupe in no time. If you found this tutorial to be helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more great content.